So welcome everyone. Long time no see. I've been back to office since last week. And I think not too much happened in the past meetings. Yeah, not enough attendees, meeting canceled. Okay, so let's see what we have today. Let me share my screen. So one topic is this quite old JOT certificate and signing pull request. So after some discussions about the type of the signing key, we have now finally this change. So the idea here is that instead of an RSA signing key, we use a certificate for JOT signing, which we do not change the type of the existing credential because this would likely cause a lot of trouble depending on where Bosch stores the credential. So now the solution looks like this. We add a new credential type certificate and configure this here as key 2, and then you can switch over from the old credential to the new one. And yeah, there are unit tests for that. And yeah, okay, from my side, this looks now okay. Does anyone have any more comments? If not, then I would say I would wait for the next CF deployment release and then approve this and merge it, and then we see if anything happens or not. Just let me. So, okay, good, fine. Then Markus Strehler will be pleased to hear that. Next thing is, yeah, we had a lot of trouble with the infrastructure pipelines because they all were interrupted by a concourse problem in the worst possible moment. That is when you start to bubble up an environment and the state changes and then the state is not pushed. So state loss. That's why Carson and me had to repair most of the environments, but I think we fixed this all in the meantime by now. So yeah, I had to delete the experimental environment in AWS and recreate it and all that. But yes, I think this is fixed now. I don't know what exactly happened though. Worker disappeared. I don't know if it was related to some GCP infrastructure problems, but they were actually non-reported for our zone, only for some US zones. Yeah, okay. But well, it's fixed by now. Okay, then more interesting topic. Am I still sharing? Yes, yeah. There's a major Postgres update. So the Postgres Bosch release has updated the Postgres revision from 11 to 15. the update release job was failing for quite some time, but this was due to a stem cell issue. There was already an open, oh no, this one. There was already an open ticket on the Bosch release for that. Well, okay, you don't see it here because the database appears to be running, but it is not. But nevertheless, with the latest Gemmy stem cell, things work. So the Bosch release has been updated and validated. The only problem was now that we do not have a validation for a Postgres update. We use Postgres only in the from scratch scenario. So if I'm not wrong, this is the only one that uses Postgres, rest uses MySQL. So there was no test of the update. So I did this manually. So I just deployed, used the dev environment, deployed the latest released CF deployment with the old Postgres, and then hacked this job here, which takes the release CF deployment and deploys the develop branch on top. So in other words, it updates Postgres and a few other things, and also measures the downtimes. And there are a few more downtimes, of course, because the database is gone for some time, but it's nothing too severe. The update itself also succeeds, so there are no problems. So we can, I would say, release this as a minor release CF deployment if there are no objections. Of course, we should print a hint, attention, new Postgres update may take some time depending on your database size. But in general, we've done the same here at SAP, but with an RDS managed Postgres, there was also a major version update, and yeah.
Thanks for doing this.
Hmm?
Quick question.
Yeah.
It looks like there's a failure line on the screen that you're looking at for Uptimer.
Well, don't know how exactly the Concourse task behaves. Yeah, well, indeed, app pushability has not the highest success rate. This is true. I don't know, 4 attempts failed, and here 5. The pass rate is not too high. This is expected to some extent, yeah, because the database is gone for a while. We should point this out in the release notes. But on the other hand, I guess there is not too much we can do about this.
There was another failure further up.
Well, yes, there are failures definitely. In if you check the upgrade scenario,
Does it always have
always,
failures?
there are always failures, even if there's not much.
Interesting. I guess I had assumed that it would fail if it didn't meet thresholds that we had set, so that we could see that the failure was occurring,
I mean,
and like manually change the thresholds
are a bit questionable. So here is, I think, an upgrade where there's almost nothing in, but still you see a few failed attempts to push and fetch logs. Can be because of single node database, single node blob store, and this can have a lot of root causes. But I guess for a major database update, yeah, we can point this out in the release notes.
Sure.
Expect somewhat longer downtime if you use the Bosch managed Postgres. I mean, we at SAP, we only use the Bosch managed Postgres for development landscapes, yeah, to save cost. I don't know if anyone does this in a productive environment, and I would hope not, because then you're not highly available. The only question I asked is it a major release? I mean, strictly speaking, we are not changing any ops files in an incompatible way. So you could just cut a minor release and...
That's what it sounds like. Does the operator have to take any configuration steps because of the Postgres change? If they're using Postgres? No, they should just be warned that it's going to be slow
and possibly do a backup and all this stuff, but
sounds like a minor is fine then, based off of our criteria with, you know, release notes that are like, hey, be careful.
Yeah, be careful. Yeah. Okay, good. Then it will be a minor release with a notice, and then that's it. Okay, so we just created a release, I think the beginning of the week, and there's already a lot of new changes coming in, all the build packs, which is good, of course. I mean, this is good to see that everything is under heavy development. Okay, good. Good. So that would be all topics from my side. Any other business?
Yes.
Good.
I have a PR that I think is ready to go, 2 PRs actually, to put the CFD version into the CAPI, I guess to give CAPI knowledge of the CFD version so that if you curl the V2 info or V3 info endpoints, you get the actual version instead of just empty.
It's this one?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Now
the tricky part is I had to hard code the versions, right? Just like how we do with the manifest version. So I had to make a PR to Runtime CI that updates the same task that changes manifest version whenever we change versions to change these build and version things as well. I've tested it locally to some extent, but I haven't run it. So I'm not sure that it's going to work, but it should work. It's the top one. Yeah.
Okay, the version is changed. Okay, and where are we here? Record CFD version in manifest targeting major, new version major.
Since version only records the major version, to get the major version, like just the number representing the major version out of new version and old version.
Yeah.
And then do the same set. I think it should be fine. Yeah, getting those 2 in before we cut a release would be nice, because then I don't have to update the PR that is put at.
So you need first this one
CFD.
here. I never had a closer look at this particular task. Can't see the employment version. Old version, path manifest version major, and then you substitute in CF deployment. Okay, good. So we had this already to update the manifest version, and now we have
build and version.
old version. This does not interfere with anything else?
It could. It doesn't right now, but it could. Because we do have a version colon, and if in releases and stuff, and if the releases are actually, if any of those releases happen to be just one number,
yeah,
as their release version, then we totally could interfere. I hadn't thought about it too hard. I just checked that it didn't do anything right now, but I would love ideas if you've got one for how we could prevent that in the future. We could use Bosch interpolation. That's always an option rather than this weird like setting stuff.
Bosch interpolate could be an option.
Yeah.
If it does not resort the whole YAML structure. What about something properties? If you add a placeholder here and
yeah, I mean I could make it more super brittle and check for like name colon CF deployments, return, like return signal build, like white space build thing, white space version thing, right? And that would only match that most likely. But if we ever changed the order of properties or like messed with any of those other ones, it would become really brittle. Like it would break. You might not realize.
I mean, there are 100 ways to do this. A bit more crude way would be adding a unique placeholder here, $, copy build version, $, and search and replace this one.
True, like a comment right afterwards or something.
Like basically a comment, yes.
Yeah.
And if it's not placed, nothing will break, but you see an ugly output.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
I'll work on that. So no need to block this release on that. I'll just work on that for the
good.
next.
I mean, it is unlikely that this matches anything else than what is intended, but
better safe than sorry, right? That's a good call out.
Yeah. Okay. Our thing is doing something with YQ. Specifying the correct path, but don't know if this is easier or not.
How would you do that with YQ?
Can't you do?
I'm not that familiar with YQ. I usually just use it in the same way. Okay. I thought it just was a pretty output tool, kind of like JQ.
Or JQ,
but,
yes. Yeah.
Whatever. All right. Looks. I'll have another go at this. The other thing I wanted to call out was that I added to the CF smoke tests release a new task that bumps the Windows CF CLI blob whenever a new CF CLI release comes out. There's a weird thing where like we obviously the CF smoke test release packages the CF CLI release from the Bosch package CF CLI release repo, but that repo does not include the Windows CF CLI for whatever reason. I tried to make an issue for them to add it, and they said that it's potentially changing hands to another working group, so they're not going to add it anytime soon.
Okay.
The last time this came up was when we we had bumped the CFCLI within smoke test release to 8. And then some months later realized that the Windows one was on V6, and that was like a year ago or 2 years ago. And since then, it's just been a best effort. Whenever we remember, we'll just go and bump the blob in this release to whatever the latest version is. And it got to the point where I felt like it was better to just automate it. So I added a task to Runtime CI. Dave approved it, so I merged it, and to here, which Dave also approved, so I merged it, which should keep an eye on the CFCLI releases for V8, and then automatically bump the blob inside of this release. Blobs are in config.
Second config, right. Okay, so now this is
that should get automatically bumped now, whatever the latest version.
Okay, that's good. Did anyone complain, or what was the trigger for this activity?
The last time someone complained was when we forgot to bump it to V8 and it was stuck on V6 for a long time after the Linux CFCLI. But the complainant, I guess, would be me, because I had to manually bump it every now and then, which was annoying. So automated, if it works, but just another potential vector for things to break down as well. It would be really nice if they added it to the Bosch package release, but it hasn't happened yet.
Okay, cool. Yeah. That's
but the main reason I wanted to bring this up was because the CF smoke test release does not run Windows tests right now. So I'm fairly sure that this works, but if we start seeing Windows failures in smoke tests, know that it could be related to some weirdness with that automation, because it hasn't been running for very long. Possibly mucking up the blob.
Why do we have the Windows stem cell here? We use the Windows stem cell, but
I don't know why we do that, because we don't deploy with Windows in CF, if I remember correctly.
Well, we deploy before we upload the stem cell, so it's
quite weird.
This is a bit weird.
Maybe when we deploy the smoke test release, do we add like a Windows VM or something? That'd be kind of strange, but possible. No.
It's like smoke tests Windows, but this
that's just a job, right?
Creating not actually package stem cells. We have both. Include smoke test Windows. Do they really run on Windows?
Does that work? Oh, it does work. Okay, we do test it. I didn't know that. We put it on its own Windows VM so that we can run the tests.
It looks like that. Whoa, it's cool. I was not really aware of that. Yeah, runs.
I didn't know that either. All right. Dope.
Run smokes Windows. Yeah, here we are.
I fully assumed that, like cats, it just skipped Windows. All right.
No.
Good to know.
Very cool. Okay. Yeah, okay, good. That's fine. I think the pipeline is also running fine, and also cats. So This has become a lot more reliable. Okay. Cool. So, anything else? Okay, if there's nothing more, no topic from my side. This FIPS stem cell, there's nothing new yet. So, and thanks to everyone. Have a nice day or a nice evening. And
Sorry, you're back from vacation.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Sorry that you had to end your vacation.
Yeah. Yeah. See you again in 2 weeks. And bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you.
Bye bye. See you soon.
See you.